रामाय रामभद्राय रामचंद्राय वेदसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीतायाः पतये नमः. Kishkindha Kand, chapter number 1, the spring. The recitation begins now. Then Rama beheld the beautiful Lake Pampa, carpeted with lotus and utpala and teeming with fish. The lotuses reminded him of the lovely face of Sita. The utpalas brought back to him the image of her star-like eyes. The fish recalled to him her fleeting glances of unshaken fortitude, and with Lakshmana ever by his side, his other self and comforter, the billows of grief at being parted away from Sita engulfed him in their dark depths, and he wailed aloud like one bereft of his senses. His whole being trembled with excruciating delight at the sight of the charming lake. He turned to Lakshmana and he said, "My dear, this Pampa is a vision of beauty with its crystal waters, the blown lotuses, the utpalas and other fragrant flowers, and the countless varieties of trees that line its banks. Yon forests are thick with lofty trees, hidden with flowers and fruits, and resemble huge mountains with towering peaks. Bharata tried his very best to take me back with him to Ayodhya, but I would not have it, and he waits for me at Nandigrama in hermit garb, ever busy with his fasts and prayers. Janaki, the soul of my soul, has been torn from my side, and to crown it all, this cruel spring tortures me exquisitely, me, whom grief has already marked for its own. The child of misery turns away with disgust from everything, fair and foul. But this Pampa enslaves my heart with its rare beauty. Its cool waters are hid by lotuses and other flowers. Pythons and serpents glide here and there. Lovely flowers hide everything, even the terrible venomed insects. Numerous varieties of flowers drop from trees upon green and yellow swards, and resemble gorgeous carpets woven with threads of rare colors. The treetops, covered with blown flowers, are themselves capped by creepers, hidden beneath rare flowers in blossom. It is now spring. The trees bend beneath their tribute of flowers and fruits. A sweet fragrance fills the air, while the breeze wafts it over gently, though it fans the flames of love. Lo, yon forest trees crowned with flowers that shower their starry wealth just like surcharged clouds. Countless forest trees are tossed about in the gale and rain flowers on the rocky hard slabs below. Flowers fall ever all round, and the wind seems to toss them about and sport in glee. The gales shake the flower-laden branches to and fro, and the swarm of bees follow them eagerly, like a master singer followed by his assistants. The wind rushes forth with a frightful noise from the mountain caves, leading the trees in a riotous dance. The maddened cuckoo sings sweetly, building up before the mind's eye a charming scene where the chief actor in a play comes on the stage with a song upon his lips, while the others dance to it in splendid accompaniment, and yet others discourse sweet harmony on pipes and flutes. The treetops are gathered together by fierce gales and give the appearance of a huge mountain. The zephyr moves fatigue and languor from me as it blows cool and pleasant, wafting the fragrance of the sandal trees on Mount Malaya. The wind blowing through the heavily scented trees brings to our ears the delicious hum of the bees that cluster around them. The lofty trees on the mountain tops are hid by lovely flowers and give us the distant view of a huge flower bank. Yon trees with flower-capped heads are blown to and fro by the rough blasts, while black swarms of bees follow them about. The whole scene gives us the idea of a troupe of dancers, with their hair gaily dressed with flowers of diverse hue and black turbans jauntily tilted upon them, as they whirl in mad dance, singing sweetly the while. Yon flower-crowned Karnikara trees might be easily mistaken for persons adorned with gold and gemmed robes. It is 13 years since we left Ayodhya, and I, whom the pangs of separation from Sita torture exquisitely, am at the mercy of this spring which maddens birds and beasts. Grief calls to its aid love to put me to fresh torments. Yon cuckoo warbling sweetly seems to challenge me. Yon turkey calling to me joyfully from that lovely waterfall grieves me the more who till now have been consumed enough by the fires of passion. Maybe you are accustomed to grieve at the sound of this bird? No, once before when Sita lived with me in the ashrama, the cry of this bird fell upon her ears. The flames of passion blazed in her heart, and she called me to her and opened the gates of love's paradise to me. So this unspeakable grief has dared to approach me, taking advantage of her absence. Behold, the birds of varied plume and note fly forth in all directions from trees, groves, and thickets. These female birds strut proudly by the side of their mates, while their friends congratulate them on the excellent choice they have made. The sweet hum of bees fall on their ears and incite them to disport with their mates in love's gardens. The cries of the turkeys, the songs of the cuckoos do but fan the flame of my love as they issue pleasantly from yon trees. It is but baleful fire that consumes me so in the disguise of spring. The clusters of Ashoka flowers are the live coals, the tender shoots are the flames, and the hum of the bees is the sound of burning. What is life to me without Sita, with her soft and long lashes and thick lustrous curls of hair? Never did I know a moment when she spoke not sweet. Sita, my heart's love, would find such rare delight at the sight of the spring and these charming forests, alive with the lovely notes of the cuckoo. The fire of grief springs forth from the altar of love. The charms of the spring fan it to a white heat, and I will be a heap of ashes ere long. The spring insults me to my face in the guise of lovely flowers and soft zephyrs that remove the sweat thrown off during the enacting of love's high mysteries. But behold a greater wonder. Sita grieves me as much though she is absent. I pine away at the thoughts of my Janaki with her fawn-like eyes, and this cruel breeze consumes me quite as it blows through the flower-laden trees of spring. Behold yon peacocks gaily dance along, their plumes blown about by the wind. At the distance they look like windows of crystal. Surrounded by peahens and intoxicated with passion, these birds do but increase the madness of love in me. Lakshmana, yon peacock is dancing gaily on the mountain slopes. Its mate is blind with passion and approaches it dancing to entice it along to some pleasant spot. The male responds to it gladly and dances to meet it with wings outspread and crying pleasantly. It mocks at me as if it were saying, "You fool, to be away from your beloved in the sweet spring. Here I am about to enjoy the delights of love with my mate." It is 1,000 pities that Ravana carried away Sita, not when I was at Ayodhya, but here in this forest, where I am free to enjoy the supreme delights of love in its pleasant solitudes. This peacock is happily above all such misery and misfortune. No Rakshasa lays violent hands on its beloved. That is why it roams and dances in mad delight in groves and forests, with its mate by its side. Happy are they, thrice happy, who enjoy the delights of love to their heart's content in such lovely seasons and places in the company of their beloved. Lakshmana, see you yon beasts and birds draw towards one another in burning love. It is the way of the world for man to woo woman and give her delight, but this peahen is so far blind with passion that it forces its embrace upon its mate and would enjoy it perforce, a splendid tribute to the omnipotence of spring. Even so would my beloved Sita revel in the delights of love with me, with eyes that blossom forth at the sight of me. Alas, that wicked Rakshasa should spirit her away. Now these forests, those trees bending low under the weight of their flowers and fruits in spring, please me not. Swarms of bees cluster round lovely flowers, but I let them fall to the ground. I have no mind to enjoy them. The birds call out to one another in mad glee to enact love's mysteries. But I take it that they do it only to intensify my hot passion. Spring would spread its green mantle over the earth, even where Janaki abides. Then would she not grieve like me, being in the clutches of her persecutor? Perhaps spring might not visit that spot. Even then, how could she manage to live bereft of my company? Should there be spring where she is? What joy would she derive from it when she is cruelly tortured and threatened with death every moment? In the flush of youth, formed to drain the cup of life's delights to its very dregs, with star-like eyes that put to shame the petals of the red lotus, ever soft of speech and prone to advance and speak first. It seems incredible to me that she would deign to live through the spring. Nay, I can swear solemnly that she would scorn to live torn from my side. Her senses, her heart, her thoughts, and her life breaths are rooted in me, and she knows well that my love to her is no less. Like a red-hot piece of coal falls this gentle breeze upon me, cool, pleasant, and heavily laden with the fragrance of flowers. It is but cruel agony to me as I writhe under the lash of misery. But it was the same breeze that made life a dream of bliss to me when Sita was by my side. But why should it fan the flame of my misery if Sita be not with me? Yon crow cawed harshly just before I was lured away from her side. There it caws again from yonder tree in pure delight, and I take it as a good omen, foretelling my speedy reunion with my love. It was a harbinger of my woe, and it might be the forerunner of my joy too. Behold the birds crying melodiously from flower-laden trees. Whose heart could resist the maddening influence? Yon tilaka tree tosses about its clusters of flowers, while this bee approaches it as if it were a love-intoxicated maiden. That Ashoka tree is a wicked wretch by nature, and it takes a delight in sharpening the edge of agony of those that are love-lorn. Its leaves and flowers are blown about by the wind and threaten me in no gentle accents. The god of love is whetting these red-hot shafts but to pierce my heart. Lakshmana, these mango trees, decked with flowers, resemble gay youths, smeared with priceless sandal paste and proud of their beauty and grace. Kinnaras range the wild forests that enclose the waters of Pampa. These red lotuses, emitting delicious fragrance all around, resemble morning suns as they are reflected in the clear waters, adorned with lotus, lily, and many a flower, and shaken with the cries and the motions of swan, heron, and many a waterfowl. Chakravakas range hereabouts, while endless forest views meet the eye at every turn. Elephants, deer, tigers, and lions come to this lake to slake their thirst. It is a lovely sight to behold the wavelets gently shake the lotuses. Rare delight she used to find in these flowers, Sita with eyes broad and beautiful as the lotus petals. Life is a long-drawn agony to me without her. Ah, the cruel malice of love! I know not where she is, my heart's delight, and the possibility of my recovering her seems more and more hazy. Yet her sweet words ring in my ears. Catch me there, dear. I could withstand this boundless passion of mine for Sita, if the spring torture me not so with its flowers and fruits. The very objects that were sources of delight to me when she was by are so many hellhounds now that she is away. These lotus petals resemble her eyes. This breeze that blows gently through the trees laden with the fragrance of lotuses are very much like her sweet breath. Lakshmana, On the mountain slopes that line in the southern banks of Pampa, there stands a wild carnicora tree, its boughs bending beneath the flowers. Mount Rishimukha, veined with many an oar, showers dust of curious hue as the strong gales beat upon it. The hill slopes are covered with the palasa trees, denuded of their foliage and shining like tongues of flame in their garb of flowers. The shores of Pampa are covered with jaji, jasmine, karavira, ketiki, vetasa, vara madhavi, vasanti, kunda, sindhu, and other creepers, and ingudi, maduka, vanjula, vakula, champaka, tilaka, naga, nipa, date, padmaka, ashoka, lodhra, ankola, kuranta, purnaka, paribhadraka, mango, patala, teak, Muchalinda, Arjuna, Ketaka, Uddalaka, Sirisha, Shimshipa, Shalmali, Kimshika, Kuravaka, Tinisa, Naktamala, Sandal, and other countless varieties of trees. Creepers heavy with blossoms cover them all over. The boughs are tossed by the wind and the creepers along with it, giving one the idea of women tasting the delights of love with their lovers who had succumbed to the charms of the wine cup. This wind travels from tree to tree, mount to mount, and forest to forest, tasting of many a delicious juice, and steeped in many a fragrant odor, as if it were inebriated. Some trees are hid beneath flowers and breathe sweet fragrance from ever-flowing streams of honey. Others are covered with black buds and resemble dark rain clouds. Yon bee rests on many a flower, tastes of its sweets, and passes on to another, its greed abated not a whit. Here flowers have fallen thick, and the ground seems spread with carpets of diverse hue. Champaka blossoms cover some slabs and give us the idea of cots of gold. Karavira flowers lie thick over other stones and deceive us into the idea that silk-fringed cloths are spread over them, while others resemble beds of varied pattern. Lakshmana, wherever I turn, I meet spring in its varied garb of blossoms and fruits, while bees hum sweetly as if they say, "Well, how nice do I look? You have no chance beside me." This waterfowl plunges into limpid depths and sports in the company of its mate, rousing the slumbering fires of passion in me. The Mandakini is no whit behind the Pampa in its charming loveliness, and is rightly spoken of in high terms by the lovers of sport. If Sita were restored to my arms, and if we could spend our days amidst these lovely scenes, I would scorn the delights of Indra's heaven or of Ayodhya. The loss of my heritage and the thousand misfortunes that flowed from it would be a faint dream of the past, were it given me to spend my days here in the sweet company of Sita, reclining on these soft swords. My senses reel and my mind totters as I behold these trees shine in their bright garments of flowers and fruits, and my side empty. The lotus and the lily and the other flowers bloom on the cool waters of this lake, while chakravakas, karindavas, plavas, and crouchas, and many other waterfowl rest on them and send forth melodious cries. Boars, deer, and other beasts plunge and sport in its clear depths, and all these bring back to me the matchless beauty and grace of Janaki and intensify my burning love to her. Lakshmana, what a contrast between my wretched self writhing in the agonies of separation from the fawn-eyed Sita and those beasts reveling in the delights of love in the hill slopes. My heart takes a fresh wound at every step of mine over these mountains where the maddened birds lose themselves in an ocean of joy. I will not be consoled except I behold her again. My life threads threaten to snap if I share not this pleasant breeze from Pampa with my beloved Sita. Thrice happy are they to whom it is given to enjoy this cool zephyr that blows from the groves that border Pampa, heavy with the sweet fragrance of lotus and lily. and ever busy with its mission of relieving true lovers of their burden of sorrow and fatigue. Sita is endowed with rare beauty and grace. She is in the flower of youth, when every moment should be an eternity of bliss. She has been nurtured delicately in the palace of Janaka, who holds the wealth of this world at his command. How could she live reft of me and in the cruel grasp of her foes? Suppose I go back to Ayodhya. King Janaka eagerly questions me about the well-being of his daughter, while a vast crowd hangs upon the answer from my lips. And what reply shall I give to that great one, to whom the deepest mysteries of Dharma are an open book? Alas, even if Sita should desire to end her miserable existence, my foes would not allow it. Ah, where is my Janaki, who fought so obstinately to accompany me to the woods, share my dangers and difficulties, and cheer my lonely hours? And I am an unfortunate wretch, reft of my crown and driven forth into exile by my father, and with no compelling force behind her but her noble ideal of wifehood. And how shall I, in all justice, live without her? My heart is athirst to behold her lovely face of faultless contour, fragrant and taking an additional charm from the long silken eyelashes that hide but to reveal the glorious depths behind. When shall the music of her speech fall my ears? My Sita, ever cheerful, unselfish, and clever. The rough forest life was a long-drawn agony to her every moment, yet she never betrayed it. The noblest of wives, she ever strove to quench the fires of love in me with her perennial cheerfulness, divine beauty, and ambrosial speech. Lakshmana, I go to Ayodhya. Kaushalya turns to me with expectant eyes and says, Child, where is my daughter-in-law? What am I to reply to her? Shall I tell her the truth? The next moment she would fall dead, such is her extreme love to Sita. Lakshmana, go back to Ayodhya and let a happy future be yours by the side of Bharata. Who am I to think of life without my Sita? Thus did the great one wail and moan like one forlorn. Then Lakshmana replied, Brother mine, know you not that you are the Supreme Purusha? It behooves you not to lose heart. This grief, this wailing becomes you not. All good be yours. One would least expect this utter abandonment to grief from you of matchless fortitude. It is but the way of the world that the greatest sorrow ever springs from our parting from those we love most. We will do well to pluck out from our heart the poison plant of passion crowned with the flower of misery. The wick burns not if drenched in oil overmuch. Ravana is already dead, mark it well, go where he will, to the underworld or any place more secret. Let us bestir ourselves to discover where he lies in hiding at present. He shall bring back Sita unto us, or pay his life as the forfeit. He might immure her in the womb of Aditi, I care not. He shall produce her this very moment, else my fiery arrows shall of a truth drink his heart's blood. Put away grief from you and anxiety. Pluck up courage. We may fail time after time, but time after time we strive. How can we hope for victory else? Perseverance is the sharpest sword in the hands of man. Perseverance instills courage into our hearts after every defeat. Let us but persevere and keep up our hearts, and we recover Sita in no time. Let us not clog our intellects with passion and grief. Forget not that you are endowed with unshaken fortitude and have controlled your emotions. The respectful appeals of Lakshmana, apt and beneficial, enabled Rama to tide over the billows of grief. Bewilderment and misery fell away from him like a dark cloak, and his natural courage and spirit welled up within him. Then Rama, of inconceivable might, crossed the Pampa and Lakshmana with him. His heart almost breaking with grief at being parted from his love, Rama searched most carefully mountains, forests, caves, and thickets. Then the princes proceeded on their quest. Lakshmana jealously watched over his brother as he strode forth with a lordly gait of an elephant in rut. Of unshaken devotion and dauntless courage, he was uniquely blessed in being allowed to serve his brother. Rama stole away the hearts of all by his lovely gait, but Lakshmana fell not under the spell. His thoughts, words, and acts were ever under restraint and ever directed towards the reverent service to Rama. For was he not Shesha, the primal serpent, to whom it was given to ever wait upon the Lord as his throne when he sat, as his umbrella when he stood, and as his sandals when he walked? Knowing this full well, Sumitra cautioned her son when he was about to follow Rama to the forests. My dear, let not your heart be snared by the beauty of Rama as he walks before you through the woods, and fail not in your watchful service to him. He would respectfully place before him axioms of kingly polity and old world maxims at the right place and time. The foe, he asserted, was but chaff before his fiery arrows. And thus consoling Rama, he led him on to the foot of Mount Rishimukha. Sugriva, who abode there with his generals, observed their forms, features, and valor closely, and was mightily surprised thereat. Albeit of boundless might, he was struck down with fear lest Vali might have sent them on to stay him. His fear grew apace into terror as he beheld them move cautiously about and cast a searching eye on the rocks and caves. The monkeys with him beheld the noble warriors too, and hurriedly withdrew into the ashrama of Rishi Matanga, where they had lived in peace and security. Mangalam Kushlindraya Mahaniya Kunapti Chakravarti Dhanarjaya Sarvabhaumaya Mangalam.